Welcome, Pewter Report readers, viewers, and listeners to a brand new edition of the Pewter Report podcast, Energized by Celsius. It is a Wednesday edition of the show. A little bit of a mix-up today, maybe not necessarily a mix-up, but a change in direction because the Bucs have a Monday night game. Typically, we preview the Bucs' next opponent on Wednesdays, but today we're going to talk about the significance of the Bucs losing right tackle Tristan Wirfs for multiple weeks. And we'll get into the Bucs Saints preview on tomorrow's podcast on Thursday. So a lot of Tristan Wirfs discussion, a lot of talk about hopefully coming back to the lineup, Logan Ryan, and a couple other topics of conversation. I'm your host, Matt Matera. Joining with me is Scott Reynolds of PewterReport.com, the face that runs the place at that website. And Scott, I don't know how the Bucs are going to contend, one, with an anemic offense that's been the case for the entirety of the season, with the exception of the Cowboys game in the the season opener on the road, and going international to find some luck offensively. I don't know how they're going to do it now without Tristan Wirfs, but how are you doing nonetheless?
I'm doing great. I'm wearing my Kansas State shirt today because it's Saturday. It's going to be a big day. Right?
Oh yeah,
Big 12 championship game, Kansas State versus TCU. A team that we actually had a 17-point lead on in Texas until both of our starting quarterbacks went out with injuries, and our starting running back Deuce Vaughn and our starting middle linebacker went out. Those are four important people, and then we lost that lead. And TCU is a very good team. I think number 3 or number 4 in the nation, and we're number 10, I believe. So it's pretty fun. It's gonna be a purple game, purple on purple. Crimes are going to be committed in Arlington at the Big 12 championship game. But speaking of players being out, this is a big deal, right? Tristan Wirfs being out, just as this team still has a glimmer of hope. As Tom Brady said, it's crazy. It's crazy that we're still in first place, being under 500. But Matt, we've talked about this for several weeks now. We talked about this back when the Bucs were 3-5, that this division could come down to one of those teams like Seattle. I want to say in 2010, they were 7-9 and won the NFC West. And I want to say in 2014, the Panthers won the South with a 7-8-1 record. And of course, that gives you an automatic home playoff game. Mm-hmm. Crazy
and,
that the
and they won that game. They
won that game.
That was the infamous Marshawn Lynch run against the Saints. So Bucs fans probably remember it very well. And that's all you need to do. All you need to do is get into the dance, and then anything can happen. Because I still think there's that Tom Brady magic of like when you get into the playoffs. I was also talking with Pewter Report's intern, Adam, and we were going through Sly Guy, as we like to say. And we were going through the hypotheticals, and obviously they have to win the division. We all know that. Right now they'd be the 4 seed, and that's not ideal because they'd end up playing the Dallas Cowboys in the first round, a rematch of the season opener. But both teams have drastically gone in a different direction since that first game. But what I was saying is that it would really behoove the Bucs if they can. And again, they have to control their own thing with winning the South. But if they could jump to the 3rd seed, that would change a lot, because that would force either the 49ers or the Seahawks, but presumably probably the 49ers. That would put the 49ers to the 4 seed. That means they're playing the Cowboys, and the Bucs are playing either the Seahawks, the Giants, or the Washington Commodores, which is a much more advantageous matchup.
The Commodes.
Yeah, the Commodes. And then in that case, you
Matt, this team just lost to the 3-7 Browns. Matt, what are you doing? Matt, come on. What are you doing, Matt?
I'm trying to be a little positive for what's been a very negative outlook of this team, and rightfully so. I'm don't know, trying to bring a little.
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And this is a wacky year. I just think that whoever wins this, and I think it's going to come down to that January 8th matchup in Atlanta, either the Bucs or the Falcons. The winner of that game is going to win the division and get that playoff berth. And, just leave it up to the NFL, the league that can screw up just about anything. And say, we're going to reward you for not even mediocrity. We're going to reward you for sucking. When you have a losing record, you're a loser, but you're going to get in the playoffs, and we're going to give you a home playoff game. That is just so fundamentally wrong on so many different levels. It just is. So here's the thing. I think the NFL, and again, this is a league that is just, they do some dumb things. It's a dumb league. It really is. You put me in Roger Goodell's job, I will do it for 1/4 of the salary. That's it. Just 1/4. That's all I need is 1/4 of his salary. You know what? I'll even do it for 1/5. Give me 1/5 of his salary. I'll do a better job. I would make a rule change. I would talk to the owners and say, listen, yes, if we're going to have these divisions, they need to mean something. Okay, I get that. If we're going to have divisions, winning the division has to mean something. Otherwise, what's the point of having the division? But the asterisk needs to be, you get to host a home playoff game if you have a winning record. If you don't, then you do get the mulligan. You do get, the saving grace is you automatically get that berth into the playoffs, even over teams that might have 2 or 3 or 4 more wins than you on the record. But you don't get the home playoff game. You go in as the bottom seed. And I think that's a simple, logical fix. And I know, listen, that might negatively affect the Buccaneers this year, because right now, if they were to get in at 8-9 or 9-8 or whatever, they'd be sitting pretty with that home playoff game, right? It's better to play that game at Ray J than in Dallas. So I think that it's a crappy rule. I don't like to see losing teams get rewarded. But if you're going to say winning the division means something, fine, but don't give them the home, whoever that is, don't give them the home playoff game. But that's not the rules right now. The rules are if the Bucs can get in, and I think, again, it's going to come down to that Falcons game on January 8th in Atlanta. The winner of that is probably going to win the division, but don't count out those sneaky Carolina Panthers, because, Matt, they're one game out of this thing, right?
They're playing the best football in the division, right?
They're 4-8, and they got a 3-1 record in the division. The Bucs are only 2-1 in the division, and the Bucs have to play them again. You talk about some must-win games, folks. This Bucs Saints game is must-win, but then every other, the Bucs are going to have to run the table in the division. They're going to have to sweep the Saints. They're going to have to sweep the Falcons, and they're going to have to split with the Panthers to get in, because this Saints game, if they lose this, Matt, what happens to the Buccaneers? Hypothetically, theoretically, what happens to a 5-7 Buccaneer team that has suffered yet another loss at home? I'm just not trying to be Debbie Downer, but let's look at what's the worst that could happen. What happens if the Saints come in and run this joint like they've run it the last 4 times? Because they're 4-0 the last 4 times at Raymond James Stadium, a 38-3 complete ass whipping on Sunday Night Football. In 2020, the year the Bucs won the Super Bowl, and then last year a bizarre 9-0 bloodshed body bag game for the Buccaneers. They couldn't score a point. They lost like half of their offense in that game. Right. What happens if the Saints beat the Bucs on Monday Night Football? How does that change the NFC South?
A lot of things. One, the Bucs just continue to spiral and will go further and further down the division. It would tie things up with Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken. It gets the Saints back into the conversation. And then, as you mentioned, the Panthers have the best division record in the NFC South. So it would be a huge domino effect that would pretty much keep every single team in the NFC South still in the race. I mean, you mentioned the Panthers. You could say what you want about their offense and they traded away everyone, but that defense is no joke. And the Saints, same thing. You could say how much their offense stinks and their quarterback stinks, whether it's Dalton or Jameis, but that defense only allowed 13 points to the high-flying San Francisco 49ers offense that just traded for Christian McCaffrey, who obviously is very familiar with the NFC South. So it would take the Bucs out of first place, or they're half game up, so who knows what would happen with the rest of the division. But this should be a walk away type of division this year, and it just hasn't, because the Bucs have, to say they underperformed is not even close to what they've really been doing. But it keeps everyone in the race in, quite honestly, the crappiest division in football right now. So it would be terrible on top of that because of the opponents they play after the Saints.
I agree. Matt, I like that answer. I'm going to ask you another question. This is not my question. This is a question from Harbinder, who is a longtime contributor here. Do you think Bowles understands his errors in playing too safe and now he'll let Brady take over? That's a very good question. And I don't know the answer to that. I don't think you do either, but I want to hear what your best shot is. What do you think? Do you think Todd Bowles, because listen, we wrote about it, right? We lambasted him on this podcast here. I wrote a column immediately about it saying, you blew the press conference. That was stunningly bad. There has to be, like, whether it's Jason Light, his assistant coaches, Bruce, somebody there at One Buck Place has to say, Todd, listen, you doubled down on this. This was a mistake. Look what Jeff Saturday did with the Colts, right?
That's what I was about to say. At least he was like, "Yeah, I wish I had that timeout back."
Exactly. Like, that's the correct answer, right? You're on the game show, right? You're in front of a national TV audience. They threw the question out there, and you got it wrong. Jeff Saturday got it right, but Todd Bowles got it wrong. What do you think? What's the answer to Harpender's question? Do you think Todd Bowles understands his errors and playing too safe? And now he'll let Brady take over, or do you think he's just going to keep doubling down on the way he's done things?
Well, to answer that, I kind of agree with what Common Sensei has to say, is that coaches are very stubborn and, they want to do it their way. And if it's not their way, then they don't, it kind of becomes a pride thing or an ego type of thing. But Todd Bowles, I wouldn't necessarily say, at least, obviously he's predicated on defense, but he never really seemed to have an ego in the way that, like, maybe a Bruce Arians would.
Right.
I usually rule in favor of, 9 out of 10 times, you should just let Tom Brady do what he wants to do. He's Tom Brady. But he hasn't learned from his mistakes. He was shitty at time management with the Jets. That clearly has not changed with the Bucs now. Is it all of a sudden going to change because they messed up the week before, when he's not taking any accountability or credibility for just flat out messing it up and then lying about, oh, we're afraid to, throw the ball? I wish I could say, oh, he's going to learn from his mistakes, but seeing is believing. And there's a track record now between all the mistakes that he made in New York, specifically with time management, and now doing it here. What exactly is going to change, unless Tom Brady kicks the door down into his office and says, listen, we're doing it this way. We're going to go more up tempo. I'm calling the plays. You guys just shut up and watch me work. I don't. Man,
I think that's a hell of an answer. And I'll say this: as much as I love defense, and as much as I appreciate really good defensive coaches, and Bowles is a good defensive coach. The problem is not the defense. The problem is his clock management, his game management, and the problem is the offense. Like, it just is. And he's part of the problem because he's responsible for everything as the head coach. He also should have fired Byron Leftwich like months ago, back after that Carolina loss. When I called for him to be fired, he should have been fired, because I could see this coming. It wasn't gonna. Matt, we did podcast after podcast about this. We said back then it's not going to get any better, right? And it hasn't. It got better for what? One game? Ooh, they scored 21 points.
Right.
They scored 3 points. 3 points over their average. Awesome, great. But now you're back to below your average. You're averaging 18 points per game, which in 2022 is god awful. It ranks 27th in the league. So now you scored 17 points, and it's not going to get it done. Even Tom Brady said, we're not going to win any games when it's scoring 17 points per game. But as much as I love defense and defensive coaches are the most stubborn. Yeah, they just are. And I saw Tony Dungy, and we're seeing it now with Todd Bowles. We saw it with Greg Schiano, who's a defensive-minded coach. I just think they're more stubborn than offensive coaches. And now, having said that, Byron Leftwich is pretty stubborn too for an offensive coach. Run the ball on first down. Keep throwing those screens to the flats, to the wide receivers that are going to gain 1 yard and 2 yards.
Crucial moments. Maybe if they don't run a stupid screenplay on that with 32 seconds to go, even if it's an incomplete pass, and that same play happens to Julio, you still have whatever it is, 20 seconds, whatever amount of time. You don't have 8 seconds there.
Yeah.
It's so funny, Scott. It is so funny that the game in Germany where they scored 21 points, their offense has been so bad that the fact that they did the bare minimum to win a game, and it's like, oh my God, look at the improvement of the offense when they did the absolute bare minimum. Obviously, this offense has been below average. Something that's really above average all the time is Celsius energy drinks. the
No doubt.
official presenting sponsor of the Pewter Report podcast. Unlike the Bucs offense, Celsius Energy Drinks has a ton of variety, particularly with their flavors. You got the Arctic Peach and Tropical there. You can go Sparkling Peach Mango as well, Sparkling Wild Berry, the Cola flavor, the Cucumber Lime flavor. So a ton of different flavors that you can try out. 7 essential vitamins is the key. This is a healthy energy drink, gives you that essential energy to accomplish the goals that you suit out for yourself. There's 0 sugar. That means there's no crash when you have this energy drink. You don't get the energy and then later you're dozing off, whatever. That's not the case with the Celsius energy drinks. Go to the Celsius store locator and find out where you can get a drink near you, whether it's your local Walmart, Target, bodega, as I like to say. They're popping up all over the place, which is really awesome to see. And then once you try it, you realize you like it and you know you want more, you can start getting them in bulk. Go to Amazon, click on the subscribe and save and have it sent to your house or apartment every 1, 2, 3 weeks, whatever you want. I would recommend getting the variety pack because variety is the spice of life. Just make sure you're drinking Celsius energy drinks, the official sponsor of the Pewter Report podcast.
I was repping my K-State shirt, which hold on one second. I was gonna say I was repping the K-State shirt, and then I come across this comment here from Frank, Rock Chalk Jayhawk Scott. Now, Frank,
wrong place.
That's not what we say in purple land. In Manhappiness, as I would say, we say Emaw, every man a Wildcat. We also throw up the WC. There's the W right there, and there's the C for Wildcat. That's kind of like our little thing. I'll say this. It was a great week for Kansas State. I'm just going to spend about 10 seconds on this, then moving back to the Buccaneers. But I got to tout when I can. KU lost in basketball. K-State won the Caymans tournament. And our basketball team, which plays Butler tonight, is 7-0. And KU, granted, they're in the top 10, I think, still, but they lost. So Kansas State is actually undefeated in basketball. KU actually suffered a loss in basketball this week. Then K-State beat the crap out of KU on Saturday night to get into the Big 12 championship game. And so we had another win over KU. So that was 14 straight wins over KU. Yeah. So that's what I had to say to Rock Chalk. So, but
yeah.
Ebon.
Loser.
No, we love you, Frank. We love you,
Frank.
Yeah, nothing personal. Yeah,
nothing personal, just rivalries.
Yeah, exactly.
Should we stick with another guy that comes from the Midwest in Tristan Wirfs, or should we talk about a guy that could be coming back to the Bucs defense this week?
I'm more interested in talking about the positivity. I'm gonna channel some of your positive vibes, Matt. Let's go with positivity. Let's talk about a guy that, man, the first time going back to training camp that we had a chance to talk, to Logan Ryan. This guy, just Rondé Barber. We're not supposed to have favorites in the media, right? I mean, we're supposed to be objective and fair and balanced and shoot it straight right down the middle. And Rondé Barber is my absolute favorite Buccaneer. I've become friends with Rondé Barber. We will get together occasionally. His daughter, Justice, is actually dating a kid I used to coach in, Pop Warner, RJ Garcia, who went to Berkeley Prep in Tampa as a wide receiver. Now he's actually at Kansas State. So I actually see Rondé out in Manhappiness. Yeah, so it's cool. So I love Rondé. Smart player, one of the best players of all time, fun guy. I was here for every minute of Rondé's, 27-year career. It just seems like he was playing for 27 years. It was actually 16 years in the NFL. It's just crazy stat. But Logan Ryan is like a carbon copy of Rondé Barber. Logan Ryan's idol, his mentor, is Rondé Barber, and he even talks like him. He talks, hey, dude. He's just like kind of a cool cat, smart guy, cerebral guy, knows how to play football. And you know what, Matt? We got a little taste of Logan Ryan, the first in the West. Just, massive play there. Had an interception against Aaron Rodgers. Had the fumble recovery against the Packers in the end zone. And this guy, if the Bucs would have had him on the field instead of being injured, I think you can add 2 wins to their season right now. He's just that important from a communication standpoint. He had 3 takeaways in the first 3 games he played in, right? And ever since he's been gone, Matt, seriously, since the Kansas City game, right? They've had 1 interception, 2 takeaways. One in Germany against Seattle, the forced fumble by Devin White, the recovery by Anthony Nelson. And then, the end of the half, Hail Mary interception by Mike Edwards. That's it. Since the Chiefs game when SMB picked off Patrick Mahomes. And ironically, that was the last game. He played the first series, then he hurt his foot. That's the last game Logan Ryan's played in. And I just think this guy coming back, it could have a huge impact for this defense from a takeaway standpoint, a communication standpoint, a playmaking standpoint. The sooner the better he can get on the field for this team.
Yeah, don't let the Hail Mary interception by, of all people, Mike Edwards, of course, makes the interception. Don't let the Hail Mary interception fool you and think that this team has turned it around with the turnovers. The play in Germany was nice by Devin White. Don't get me wrong. All the credit to him. But this is still a team that is starving for turnovers, specifically interceptions, which are typically the way more common turnover than the fumble. I mean, granted, it was a third down play, but Carlton Davis had an opportunity at an interception. He ended up getting hurt on the play, unfortunately, came back, so he's healthy. But that's the other side of it, is that, yes, it's great to bring Logan Ryan back because he is that spark for the defense that can actually cause and generate turnovers when they really need it right now. Yeah. But given the health status of especially the safety position, but the Bucs secondary in general, this is the most needed time to have Logan Ryan back. If he does play this week, it's not guaranteed. He's just designated to come off of the injured reserve list because Antoine Winfield Jr. has a high ankle sprain that's worse than a low ankle sprain. So Todd Bowles did not sound very confident that he's going to play on Monday. Granted, he has an extra day of recovery. He said Mike Edwards has a contusion. Sean Murphy-Bunting has a contusion. So, we're looking at a situation where you're going to have Antoine Winfield Jr. most likely not playing and a hobbled Mike Edwards. I mean, what are you going to do at safety? Throw in Nolan Turner. You got Keanu Neal, obviously, but he's always been more of the hammer, make the big hit than defend in coverage. And he's been okay. But, I mean, they need Logan Ryan back right now. He's the ultimate communicator. That's what Todd Bowles has spoken a lot about, that he talks a ton. He gets this team going. And I'm sure he was talking a lot at the team defense dinner that Devin White mentioned that we can talk about in a little bit. But this guy, there's layers to his importance to this team. What he does on the field, his veteran presence, and the overall communication, bringing people together. I think his importance of this team cannot be understated. And again, we talked about this before. It's a clear runaway as to who was the best free agent signing by the Bucs this offseason. Yeah, not that it was a huge competition, but it was Logan Ryan.
Max, you're right again, because if you look at New Orleans, their offense is very hit and miss, right? Their passing game has been very suspect. You go from Jameis Winston to Andy Dalton, and Dalton's been who you expect him to be. 14 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, right? And not a winning record as a starter, right? And Jameis got the same thing. Would you expect? 4 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, right? That's Jameis's stats for the year. But you look at what they did on draft day, getting Chris Olave, Michael Thomas, slant boy. He's done for the year. I don't think he was as good as people hyped him up to be. I thought he was just a manufactured catch guy. You look at his
one great season.
Yeah, but he's a pedestrian athlete. He's a pedestrian receiver. Can't stay healthy now. And so they went out and they got Chris Olave. This guy's been as good as advertised. 56 catches, 822 yards. The 14.7 yard average is real. He's got 3 touchdowns. He's got 9 big plays in the passing game. He really is the Saints' vertical passing game right now. It's him. He's the leading receiver. Then you have Kamara next at 49 with the checkdowns and the screen game. Then you have tight end Juwan Johnson, who I like is one of the best sleeper tight ends in the league. And then you've got Traquan Smith next with 18 catches at wide receiver. So you've got one wide receiver at 56 catches at Chris Olave. Then the next wide receiver is Traquan Smith with 18 catches. I guess Jarvis Landry has 23, but Jarvis Landry doesn't even have 260 yards receiving. So this, you talk about needing a safety, that deep guy that can keep Chris Olave in front of you, because this is a guy that has been getting behind defenses and making them pay. And if you don't have a Winfield, if you don't have a healthy Mike Edwards, if you can't put Logan Ryan out there, who are we talking about at safety here? Like Nolan Turner, the Clemson kid? D. Delaney? I mean, Keanu Neal is better in the box. He's not going to be keeping up with anybody 20 yards down the field. We saw that, right? In the Rams game, right? With Cooper Kupp in the slot. So yeah, it's a problem right now at the safety position just because of who they're playing. Chris Olave is as good as advertised. This kid's going to be special, and he's going to be a problem for the Buccaneers for years to come in the NFC South.
And let's face it, I don't want to do too much of the preview before the preview show, but the way that the Bucs offense is playing and the way that the Saints defense can still shut down the Bucs, and again, gave the 49ers some issues last week. The Bucs defense is going to have to play, I don't want to say a perfect game, but they're going to have to play a great defensive game to keep this close, because I don't foresee the Bucs offense, again, lighting up the score. Let's remember, the first time the Bucs beat the Saints, it came off of all the big turnovers in the game. And Chris Olave, people forget, he had that fumble on that play with Carlton Davis covering him, and then Davis ended up recovering it. But if he holds on to the ball there, remember, he tried to he wasn't touched. He landed, and that's why he fumbled the ball. The Saints are kind of back in that game if he doesn't fumble it there and the Bucs recovered. They still would need to score another time. But, this has never been a team that the Bucs have played well against in recent years in the Tom Brady era. And I don't necessarily think that's going to change just because Dalton's in at quarterback and they're struggling right now. They always turn it up when they play against the Bucs.
And you know what?
Why is that going to change now?
Yeah, they finally got a handle on Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill did not really hurt him in week 2, right? But this has been a guy as a tight end, as a quarterback. He played quarterback for them when they won 9-0 at Ray J last year. He gets carries as a running back. He's got 58 carries for 409 yards. He's averaging 7.1 yards per carry, and he leads the Saints with 5 touchdowns. And some of those come as a Wildcat quarterback down there by the end zone in the red zone. But Matt, Taysom Hill is still a force to be reckoned with on that offense. And with the exception of maybe week 2 this year, Todd Bowles has had problems stopping him.
Yeah, which is odd, because I don't know, at this point, with the you want to call it Wildcat or whatever you want to call it, obviously a sensation years ago. Now teams will bring it in now and then, but with Taysom Hill, he is that Wildcat quarterback, but okay, this is how we got a game plan for it. And it's just, I give him credit because the way he's been able to sustain himself in this league, it's not easy to do, Taysom Hill should have been the next Tim Tebow, essentially. He's doing what everyone wanted Tim Tebow to do. But yeah, credit to him. He's killed the Bucs in various ways. He's moved the ball down the field in various ways. So it's definitely someone that the Bucs absolutely have to game plan for. And Devin White actually spoke a little bit about, going up against Taysom Hill this week. I want to get back to Mark's comment real quick. We don't have to put it up. Appreciate Mark for the comment. He was asking you, Scott, how your trip was to the Pirate Cove where you had some Pirate Republic beer. I want to hear your story about that. But first, let's talk a little bit about Pirate Republic, which you are holding up right there. They, of course, are the official sponsor of the Pewter Report podcast and based out of Nassau, Bahamas. They are making their way to Florida just in time for the middle, beginning, and end of football season. We still got 2 months of football, so fear not, football fans. Beer brings people together to celebrate life. That means celebrating life in the spirit of the original pirate code. And that's a sense of belonging. Pirate Republic is a community of people living life on their terms. The Long John Pilsner is perfect for tailgating or having fun at the beach in the Florida sun. That's the red can. And then you have the Take No Quarter IPA. That's the best IPA that you can possibly drink. Even if you're not like a huge IPA fan, you'll enjoy this one. That is the green can. You can also drop an orange slice in the Golden Haze Piracy Belgian wit beer and enjoy that pirate life. Pirate Republic, that's the gold can. Pirate Republic beer is available at participating retailers like Total Wine and More, Lucan's Liquors, Party Liquors, and where I go to get my Pirate Republic beer, ABC liquor stores in the greater Tampa Bay area, and they are expanding across the state of Florida. So live life on your terms and drink like a pirate with Pirate Republic beer.
Definitely some good stuff. I'm having a little bit of audio and video issues here. We're having some inclement weather up here in Wesley Chapel today. Very windy, almost looks like a thunderstorm coming. So bear with me on this. But speaking of stormy forecast for Monday night, I'm not sure what the forecast. Let's check the forecast for Monday night. Shall we?
Why not?
Let's go ahead and pull it up real quick. But for this fellow right here, where is he? There he is. That guy, Josh Wells. Forecast rough, stormy Monday night for Josh Wells going up against Cam Jordan. He's got to be licking his lips and licking his chops. Okay, Monday, 80 degrees and sunny. So it's going to be nice weather for anyone attending the game, except for Josh Wells, who will have a dark cloud over him. And that black and gold cloud will be named to Cam Jordan. And I'm predicting a very big game from Cam Jordan. This is, Jordan's in the twilight of his career. So is Tom Brady. The Saints know that if they get this game, it's a double whammy. They knock the Bucs down a peg and they get vaulted up, and they're still in this race. And right now, the Saints have the fewest number of wins in the division. This is a must-win game for New Orleans because their path is the same path it is for the Panthers and the Falcons and the Buccaneers to the playoffs. Have to win the division. If you don't win the division, you don't have a chance this year. Even though the power in the NFL might be in the AFC this year, Matt, there's still enough teams in the NFC that are going to be claiming those wild card spots that are going to have better records than any team in the NFC South that finishes second in the division. So the Saints know this is a big game. Cam Jordan's a player that steps up in big games. He usually does. He usually comes through. He loves hunting Tom Brady. He hates the Buccaneers with a passion. Remember when they re-signed Donovan Smith?
Yeah, he was hooting, hollering, and celebrating on Twitter for the fact that he got to go up against Donovan Smith more and more. And to your point about the Saints catapulting themselves with the win over the Bucs, Saints are 4-8 right now. Bucs are 5-6. So they beat the Bucs. They both have 5 wins. The Falcons have 5 wins as well. They're 5-7. The Panthers have 4 wins. I'm not sure who the Falcons and Panthers play this week, but everyone in the NFC South can end up having 5 wins when it's all said and done after week 13. And Tristan Wirfs, I don't think we could fully comprehend like how big of a loss this is for the Bucs. He's not just their best offensive lineman. He's arguably their best player on the whole team.
Is. He's the best, most talented player. You're exactly right, man.
Right. And so losing him, and this is no disrespect to Josh Wells, but clearly it's a downgrade when you go from an all-pro offensive tackle that one day will have his name in the Bucs Ring of Honor, the way that his career has been going. I know it's very early. He's only in his 3rd season, but we're talking about just a set it and forget it, reliable offensive lineman. You don't even need to think twice about or worry about, he's going to go up against this edge rusher or whoever it is. Now to have Josh Wells in there, and Wells, he was injured earlier in the year, came in for the Saints game, got hurt, and then it was Brandon Walton while Donovan Smith was still out. But Wells obviously replaced Tristan Wirfs last season, also with an ankle injury when he got hurt in the playoff game against the Eagles. But really, it was the Rams game where, he played the whole time. Right. And, he struggled to a degree. Granted, the Rams pass rush then was a lot tougher. You had Von Miller to deal with, Aaron Donald. They obviously lined him up in several different places. But I think the cherry on top on just the bad taste in everyone's mouth is the fact that, one, you're losing your best offensive tackle, but two, because Donovan Smith has struggled and, he had a penalty late in the game that may have cost the Bucs the game when Tom Brady essentially backhanded the ball to Rachaad White that got them a first down, but then it was called illegal use of hands to the face by Donovan Smith.
Yeah.
That penalty really, really hurt the Bucs there. They obviously had to give the ball back. With the struggles that Donovan Smith has had in recent games and recent weeks, you add on top that Tristan Wirfs isn't available and the left guard position is a week-to-week basis. It's just a recipe for disaster against the Saints team that obviously is very hungry to play the Bucs. And San Francisco after that, when you have Nick Bosa lining up against Josh Wells. It's no disrespect to Josh Wells, but I mean, teams are going to be lining up and pinning their ears back against the Bucs.
Yeah, typically Nick Bosa plays the right defensive end spot, right? And he'll go up against Donovan Smith, which, again, that's still a mismatch for the Buccaneers. And you've got Samson, Ubukum, and Drake Jackson, the rookie. Ubukum has 3.5 sacks. Jackson has 3. So whether it's Nick Bosa with his 11.5 sacks or that combination of Ubukum and Jackson playing that other defensive end spot going up against Josh Wells is not good. And so that's why we said this is a big loss, because even if you get by the Saints, there's still danger ahead. Right. You're playing some pretty good defenses, teams that can get after the quarterback, in the 49ers next on the road. And then you've got Cincinnati coming into town after that. And you're going to have this domino effect with Wirfs not just missing this game, but more than likely that 49ers game. And does he come back against the Bengals? Is that the game he makes the return for? And if he does, is this going to be a recurring injury? Right. I mean, the worst kind of injuries to reoccur are high ankle sprains and hamstrings. Those two injuries more so than any other injury. You think it's healed, and all of a sudden, bam. I mean, if you don't believe me, ask Russell Gage. He's thought that hamstring has been healed a couple times, and it just didn't get healed. That's why he's out of action right now. But when you look at the Bengals, coming up, you've got Trey Hendrickson with 6 sacks. He can still get after the quarterback. Sam Hubbard is the guy that really is the left end going up against right tackles. 4.5 sacks and a forced fumble. It's not going to be an easy road for the Buccaneers and for Josh Wells until Tristan Wirfs gets back. And you have to wonder, if they can't beat the Browns with Tristan Wirfs, if they can't beat the Steelers and the Panthers with Tristan Wirfs, right? Can they beat these better teams? And I'm not saying the Saints are better, but they might be on Monday night. But the 49ers right now, I think, are a better team than the Buccaneers. Maybe with the exception of the quarterback position, right? I'm going to give Brady his due and crap on Jimmy
against
G.
his arch nemesis, Jimmy G.
Yeah, exactly. But the Bengals, they're a team that nobody wants to play right now, and so again, it's like you have to get to 8 wins. You're sitting at 5. Where on this schedule are the other 3? Which games are the other 3? And that's to get to 8 and 9. And then that means that of those 3 wins, they're going to have to really be against the Saints, the Panthers, and the Falcons.
Yeah, it's not until the new calendar year where the Bucs really have like a fighting chance where they would probably be the favorite in a game.
Right.
It's definitely tough sledding for the Bucs down the stretch. They, without question, are not going to hit their team total in wins. That would be a prop bet at the beginning of the year. You could have made that bet, or if you want to bet on the Bucs for this game, for their next game against the Niners, and down further on the schedule, you can make those bets over at MyBookie.ag. Sports betting is intense enough. You shouldn't need to sweat out these payouts that you're getting. MyBookie has a no strings bonus that lets you cash in and cash out quickly. Use the promo code Pewter, that's PEWTER, on a deposit of $50 or more, and you can receive up to $200 in cash instantly to your MyBookie account. Using the bonus is simple. Bet your deposit amount once and you're ready to cash out. It's no strings attached with MyBookie. Hammer this bonus on MyBookie so you can focus on what's important. Family, food, and securing that money bag during the holiday season. So bet anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie. And somehow, some way, Scott, the Bucs are a favorite against the Saints, which is very surprising. I guess because they're the home team, the Saints have looked bad, but the Bucs have not covered against the spread very well at all this season. But I'm very much looking forward to betting on the game and betting on some college football this week, maybe the World Cup a little bit too. You don't just bet on football. Obviously, football, there's a lot of gambling that goes on. But you could bet on hockey at MyBookie, UFC fights when they go on, the NBA as well, and all various sports, golf, if you're into that. Check it out, mybookie.ag.
So the Panthers have a bye week this week. They're off. They're 4-8 right now. The Falcons will be hosting the Steelers. And then, of course, the Buccaneers will be hosting the Saints. And so that's how the NFC South is going to be looking this weekend with the Panthers. Well, we know what they have to do, but they'll have a better understanding of what a victory means and what a loss means, depending on that Falcons-Steelers game on Sunday at 1:00 in Atlanta. The last thing I'll say about the whole Tristan Wirfs thing is the Buccaneers have not been a really good running team this year, but Wirfs has been one of the better run blockers. And so now with Tampa Bay trying to get a little bit more balance this year and run the ball, I just don't see how they're going to do that with Josh Wells, right? It's like I don't think they can run the ball at all now, and then you're going to have Josh Wells, who's not that great in pass protection, blocking for Tom Brady. And we had another comment, I can't find it now, but somebody had said, this is going to force Brady to throw the ball even sooner because there's no one along that offensive line that he trusts. And there's only one guy left from the not even the Super Bowl year, from last year's offensive line. That's Donovan Smith, who's not playing good this year, right?
And not 100%.
Not 100%. So you're going to have Tom Brady pressured, getting rid of the ball quickly. And what that's going to do, the domino effect there is you're not going to have Brady allowing for some of these deeper routes to develop, right? If he's getting pressured, if he's getting hit, if he's getting sacked, he's going to be looking to check the ball down, get rid of it quickly. And I just don't know along that offensive line, even though Shaq Mason is a very good offensive lineman, his forte is more so as a run blocker than a pass protector. So to me, I don't know where you look at that offensive line now without Wirfs and how Brady's going to have any confidence to step into throws, let plays develop downfield. I don't know. It's a huge loss for this team.
Yeah, it's a really good point. I think maybe one way to combat that is, Donovan Smith, for his struggles, he is pretty good. I like when he gets out in space. So maybe they run some, pitches to the outside with Rachaad White, let Donovan Smith get out there. Or maybe they just ride the coattails of Shaq Mason. Or if they really trust, Luke Gedeke, make it a little more interior than, they do run it up the middle a ton. And we've been calling for them to go to the outside. But, might have to get a little more trickery involved, whether it's a pitch to Julio Jones like they did, or a couple of different sweeps and misdirections. I know that's not the MO of Byron Leftwich, but desperate times call for desperate measures. And you have to, one way or another, try to fool this Saints defense that does not get distracted much by the Bucs offense in, again, the Tom Brady era. So it is very much an uphill battle.
Yeah, it is. And, when you look at the current economic climate around not just the country, but also around the world, that can be just as scary as the Bucs pass protection right now. And you're going to want some experience on your side. And folks, if you're not getting Amuni Financial and their experience on your side, then you're putting yourself in a position where you could be sacked. And nobody wants to be sacked. So I recommend going to Amuni Financial. That's where I've got most of my personal investments and letting the experts guide you through these economic storms we're in.
At Amuni Financial, we help you live in the now.
Congratulations. We're so happy for you.
Thank you.
And even though the now may feel very different, you still need to plan for the future.
How's retirement treating you?
Oh, just fantastic.
I know I say it all the time, but you really got to come up to Colorado.
Let's do it.
All right.
Yeah.
We can help you develop that plan to keep you on track, so you can still prepare for tomorrow, today. Amuni Financial. Plan ahead, stay ahead.
Managing your family's wealth means more to Amuni Financial than simply allocating your assets. It means legacy planning, brokerage and advisory services, retirement accounts. If you're like me, getting those college savings accounts set up for your kids so you can afford to send them to school, as well as insurance services. With 40 years of experience, let Amuni Financial help you plan ahead and stay ahead. Call Amuni Financial, just like I did. Tell them Scott Reynolds from Pewter Report sent you. And have them do a free no obligation checkup on your retirement, checkup on your finances to see if they can help you. Even if you have someone who's helping you, a financial advisor, a broker, you're working with someone to handle your retirement, it's always great to get a second opinion, not just medically, but also financially. So do what I did. Call Amuni Financial, 1-800-868-6864, or visit them on the web at amuni.com.
Let's get into some stuff that went on today at the Buccaneers facility. We'll try to end it on a positive note a little bit. So today was a walkthrough for the Bucs again, because they play on Monday night. Everything kind of gets shifted back a day. So there wasn't any practice that was open to the media, but we did get to speak to Larry Foote, and we had open locker room after.
Yeah, and that's important to note, because Wednesday, this is typically a day where we get Todd Bowles, right? And then Thursday, we get Tom Brady, we get Byron Leftwich, but that's all been shifted. So tomorrow's going to be Todd Bowles. Friday will be Tom Brady and Byron Leftwich, because we had Larry Foote today.
Yeah, so we had Coach Foote. He talked a lot about just the guys keeping a positive attitude and staying aggressive, but not being over aggressive. Obviously, they allowed that touchdown on the end around to the Browns earlier in the game, and still keeping their head up with the division on the line. But the big news really came in the locker room, which again, because it was a walkthrough, there wasn't too many guys in there, but we did get to speak to Devin White, and he gave us some good information about on Monday night. Himself and Lavonte David, they held a defensive dinner. It was defensive players only. I guess they're having an early rendition of Festivus, where they kind of had an airing of grievances, I guess, if you want to say. They went over to Eddie V's in Tampa. Devin White and Lavonte David both split the bill. Very kind of them. But it was just an opportunity for everyone on defense to get together. They said there was a lot of bonding, talking about building trust with one another. And let's be honest. The struggles of the Bucs are way more on the offense than the defense. Yeah. So if the defense is going to have a dinner, is the offense going to have like a seance or something like that? Something to change things. But with that said, the defense is not without any faults. They allowed that touchdown late in the game. They allowed the touchdown in overtime. So, this defense hasn't been perfect, but I thought it was good leadership by Devin and Lavonte. But, Devin, obviously there's been the ups and downs. So here's Devin White talking about how that meeting went. I was explaining it, but why not just hear from Devin? He can tell it a lot better than I can. So two videos, but talking about the same topic. And here's what Devin had to say about it.
I mean, just the goals that we have for ourselves on defense, it entitles this type of stuff. Whether if they can score or they can't score, we still want to be who we are. But like you said, they scored 10 points on us first quarter, and we held them out to the last drive. But we have to be better. We got to put ourselves in better position. We got to be real smart at the end when it's crunch time, and we just got to keep doing that. We had a defensive dinner Tuesday night. Me and Lavonte organized that just to bring the guys closer and just kind of be able to lean on one another and trust one another and just talk about the tenacity we got to play with, everything that we got to do to help this team win. Because at the end of the day, we got a great defense, and we want to show it for fourth quarter, 60 minutes. And, man, if we do that, we can get the job done just how we did in Dallas in the first game. Give them guys 3, they give us 20, 18, 16, we win the game. So we more so put it on us and try to keep people out of our end zone.
Was this Lavonte's idea, yours?
It was my idea, but I mean, man, it was just, I just feel like we needed it. Like, man, we used to be just so much closer when it was the COVID year because obviously we couldn't go nowhere. We had to sit in the building. We had to eat here. Like, everything we did was together. And I think once, kind of COVID played out, we kind of got away from that. So it was me and Lavonte just to kind of try to bring the guys back in together and just let's gel a little more. Let's so we'll play hard, even harder for each other.
How much was football actually discussed?
Here's part 2.
Yeah, everybody went around the room. We said we had to say about football. I mean, the main thing was about football because at the end of the day, that's our job. This is what we want to do. This is what we lay our bodies on the line for. So, I mean, we just want to just have that come together moment. And we discussed it, and then we was able to just enjoy each other's company right after we finished talking about football and just eat. And I think it was Monday night. We was watching Monday Night Football. So, and just watch Monday Night Football and have a great dinner. So I think that was well needed. I think it brought us together. People know that everybody's going to be held accountable and they're going to get said something to if something happened, and just take it as constructive criticism and don't fight back. Because if I say something to somebody and I mess up, they get to say something back to me. No, it don't matter who you are. And we kind of want to bring that like to broad daylight because you don't want nobody arguing on the field when somebody just holding somebody accountable. So I mean, we trying to up it even more, do whatever we can so we can help this team win.
Is it the whole defense or how many?
Yeah,
guys
whole
are there?
defense.
Where'd you go?
Whole defense.
Where'd you have it?
Went to Edit V's. They did it.
Did you pick up the tab?
Yeah, me and Lavonte did.
This week's awesome.
Lavonte did. Lavonte makes 3 times, 4 times what I make. So, like, I'm going to call the dinner. We saw some of these comments here. This is not my line. I'm taking somebody's comments here. I called the team meeting. Lavonte and I split the tab. That was funny. That's good stuff. I don't know, Matt. They've had player only meetings now, player only dinners. After what happens if they lose on Monday? They're gonna have a players only breakfast on Tuesday to help break the ship. I don't know.
Have a brunch.
I don't know. I mean, to me, it's like the defense is not perfect. You're right, Matt. You're exactly right. But man, the problems are on the offensive side of the ball. Hey, you know what? Josh Capo from Pewter Report had a good story up today that it bears watching. I say watching and reading because there's some video clips in there about the poor connection between Mike Evans and Tom Brady this year. It's just been baffling. I know I used that word when I asked Todd Bowles about it.
Yeah.
In the press conference on Monday. Todd didn't think it was baffling. I thought it was baffling. I don't understand how Mike Evans and Tom Brady can play together. This is year 3, Matthew, 3. Yeah. And now they're having these misfires. Like, that was supposed to happen in 2020, not 2022. How many games have they played together? How many passes has Brady thrown to Evans? How many catches has Evans made from Brady? And for them to not be in sync right now, it's just crazy. But it's negatively affecting the offense. And it's, you look at Mike Evans. I love the guy. He's one of my absolute favorite guys I've covered. I respect the hell out of him. He's going to have his 1,000 yards again if he stays healthy. But 3 touchdowns, Matt, this is a guy that you look at the offensive woes and why they're averaging 18 points per game and not even anywhere close to 30. Well, this guy is part of it. 3 touchdowns. His last touchdown was what, week 2 against the Saints? Am I right?
I thought he scored against the Ravens on Thursday night football.
Okay. All right. It's been a minute, right?
It's
been a minute. And he only has 3 of them. He had 14 touchdowns last year, broke his franchise record, which was 13 the year before. And of course, he set the franchise record at 12 his first year in Tampa Bay. I want to say it was 2014 or 2015. He came out of like gangbusters and had started his 1,000 yards as a rookie. But he's way off his pace for touchdowns this year.
And that's what's frustrating. It's really frustrating for the fact that it feels like when they get into the red zone, they're not even looking at Mike. Where last year they were designed fade routes to Mike Evans.
That's right.
I mean, in an odd way, I almost missed the games where Mike Evans would have 2 receptions for 2 yards, but he would have 2 touchdowns with it.
Right.
Because the Bucs were at least.
They usually came against the Saints, Matt. So maybe he'll have one of those games on Monday because those usually happen against the Saints.
He had one against the Broncos too. The infamous Pat O'Connor, friend of the program, punt block play. Yep. Where but I think Mike had a similar game to that. But like they're not even really looking at him in the end zone when they get into the red zone. Now they had the one screen pass to him.
Yeah.
which just blew my mind. And again, no disrespect to Mike. He's the greatest offensive player in team history. But the one small knock on Mike Evans has been he's not a yards after the catch guy, really. He doesn't make guys miss. He doesn't break. He runs through guys. He had that infamous touchdown against the Rams it was either Sunday Night Football or Monday Night Football, where he barreled over 2 guys. But a screenplay, when you have to make guys miss, that's not Mike's MO. Where's the fades to Mike, in the end zone? And I hate the fade, but I love the Tom Brady to Mike Evans fade. Their chemistry just isn't there. There's been theories that maybe Mike is hurt, and I could definitely see that side of it if Mike's not 100% and it's hurt with the chemistry. Some of this is on Tom, no doubt, but it's really frustrating when your quarterback wide receiver 1 combination is not on the same page. That's a recipe to significantly dip your points per game from the season before to this year.
Yeah, and here's the thing: if the Bucs offense right now, which ranks 27th in the league, averaging 18.2 yards. Remember, this is an offense that averaged 30 points per game the last couple of seasons. It's dropped 12 points. It's almost 2 touchdowns less than their average the last couple of years. If they were just middle of the road, right? Let's just look at the stats here. Okay. Jacksonville, 16, right in the middle of the road. The Jacksonville Jaguars, averaging 22.2 points per game. So that's 4 points more. What does 22 points get this Buccaneer team, Matt? Let's take a look. Looking at the schedule. So 22 points beats the Packers. 22-14 would be the score. So that's, instead of a loss, that's a win. They scored 31 against Kansas City, so that's off the table. 22 points beats the Steelers, 22-20. They lost 20-18. So now there's 2 more wins, right? 22 points beats the Carolina Panthers because you lost 21-3. There's 3 more wins, right? We're talking 4 points difference now. We're talking, instead of a field goal, we're making that a touchdown. That's the difference. That's how, even though this offense is really, really bad this year, that's still how close they are. And we're talking about Mike Evans and Tom Brady not connecting and not clicking. And those touchdowns, they're missing those 12, 13, 14 touchdowns from Mike Evans. I know there's still time left in the season, but man, we have not seen anything. I mean, certainly this was one of Mike Evans, probably his worst game of the year against the Browns. But now you're looking at in Cleveland, again, if you put 22 points on the board in regulation, it doesn't go to overtime. So now you're talking about 4 more wins than you have otherwise. Now that's 9 wins. Okay, fine. Dial it back down to 8. You're still at 8 wins right now. You're way ahead of the division. Yeah. You're smooth sailing into the playoffs. You are talking about maybe that 3rd seed rather than the 4th seed. That's what the difference is right now. It's one play. It's, instead of getting into the red zone and have to settle for a field goal because you can't convert a 3rd down, right? It's getting a touchdown instead, and then getting those extra points.
And then if you have those 8 wins, then Gronk comes out of retirement and the Bucs are in the Odell Beckham sweepstakes. So
That's right.
a lot of things change with that for sure. Hey, before we get out of here, let's hear a message from our friends at Age Rejuvenation.
As we age, our hormones decrease, both for men and women.
I was tired all the time, had no sex drive.
I was groggy.
I felt like I was 80 years old because everything hurt.
I came to Age Rejuvenation because I was tired all the time.
Bioidentical hormones has really made such an impact in people's lives.
I actually enjoy shopping now.
Got all my energy back.
Mind is sharp.
I feel like I'm 18 again.
It was perfect for me.
Get with Age Rejuvenation. Do it now. Don't wait.
Call Age Rejuvenation today.
Folks, you've been hearing me tell you about, if you want to feel better, go to Age Rejuvenation, lose weight, feel great, all that stuff. That's true. But I just had my labs done again for the 2nd time, and my testosterone levels are triple what they were. I'm thrilled about that because I've been doing the testosterone therapy. But more important, when you go to Age Rejuvenation, the amount of labs that they do, the blood work that they do. I just had the consultation. I was on the phone with the doctor for 30 minutes going through every single number. It's the most comprehensive evaluation, looking at everything from my white blood cell count, my red blood cell count. I've got a thyroid condition. That's trending in a more favorable way. They switched my thyroid medication. I am thrilled with the care I've received at Age Rejuvenation, and they go way above and beyond any of my general practitioners that I've had before. It's not just a place to go for weight loss or for testosterone or ED treatments or whatever. This is a place where they look at you as a whole person, and they do everything from treating my thyroid condition to weight loss to my testosterone. It's fantastic. Folks, go to agerejuvenation.com. Sign up for a free consultation. You're not going to be disappointed. They've got 5 Tampa Bay area locations to serve you. Age Rejuvenation, they've got some fantastic holiday specials going on right now. But the best thing you can do is give them a call and sign up for that free consultation. Get the blood work done. Your insurance will take care of it, and take off from there. It's fantastic. I do feel like I'm 40 rather than 50, and that's the best part.
Make sure you check it out, agerejuvenation.com. That's about going to do it for us today. Remember, tomorrow, same time, same place, 4 o'clock, we will do our full breakdown and preview of Bucs versus Saints, a Monday night matchup. Will the Bucs sweep the Saints for the first time in a long time? Will they stay atop the NFC South division? We will get into all of that tomorrow. So for Scott Reynolds, I'm Matt Matera saying thank you, everybody, for watching and listening, and we will see you tomorrow afternoon for another edition of the Pewter Report podcast. Out.
Thank you, Pewter people.